Good morning. Okay, so today's Wednesday, October 29th, and today we're in Perek Yud Aleph, Malachim Aleph. Okay, so just a quick hakdama. So today we're going to talk about towards the end of the life of Shlomo HaMelech, and we're going to talk about Shlomo HaMelech, how he marries into all the other nations of the world, and we're going to talk ultimately the Perek's the end off of Shlomo HaMelech passing away. So today is pretty much the end of the life of Shlomo HaMelech. That's pasuk, like literally pasuk ben beis. And okay, so let's get started. Pasuk Aleph. HaMelech Shlomo Oyev Nashim Nachriyos Rabbis, and that's Bas Parim Maviyos Amonos Admonos Tzedenos Achidas. So the pasuk. Okay, so Shlomo HaMelech, he loved all these foreign wives, the ones from Midian, Ammon, Edom, Sidon, and Chitim. And why does it single out Bas Paris? Rashi says because his favorite wife, the most chavav one, was Bas Paris. Okay, we'll give a pshat in a minute. I just want to give a basic background here. And pasuk says pasuk beis min hagoyim asher amar Hashem el bnei Yisrael lo yisrael b'hem, and from the nations that Hashem says he shouldn't come heim v'lo yavim b'chem, he shouldn't marry into them, he shouldn't marry to them, he shouldn't come to them. Because if you do that, for sure you'll turn your heart again. And those people, behem davak shlomo love, and those are the ones that Shlomo HaMelech chose and to love. And Pasuk Gimel says that he loy nashim saris sheva meos. He married 700 royal wives. Plakshim shalish meos, and he had 300 plakshim. And vayatu nashav es levi. These nashim, they swayed his heart. Okay. And okay, just to give a little background here, just to understand this. The Gemara says, "Kol shama davachata eno l'tay." Anyone who says Shlomo did avera here is mistaken, because we're seeing the psukim. It seemed like, if you read Pashup Shah, it seems like almost like Shlomo did avodah zarah. So of course Shlomo didn't do avodah zarah. Shlomo didn't do averas. The understanding is on his level, he was judged very, very on his level. Now what happened? So a couple of things. First of all, Shlomo HaMelech, he married nashim from around the world, and the reason why Shlomo HaMelech did it because the times of Shlomo, it was a time of peace. It was the times we said there was no wars, and Shlomo HaMelech ruled over almost like the whole world. Now, Shlomo HaMelech said, "Wait." It's sort of brought down. Also, it's brought from the Zayah. It's brought down that Shlomo said, "Maybe we're in times of Mashiach. Right now we're at the end of time. So, in the end of time, I want to go ahead and I want to bring in the Ummah. So, what did he do? He married to other nations in order to, everyone likes to say the tzaitzis. He wanted to bring the sparks. He wanted to bring them in, and he thought that would ultimately bring the Geula. Now, we all know that Melech. There's things that Shlomo HaMelech officially we'll see pshat in it. But first of all, Melech is not allowed to have more than 18 wives. Shlomo HaMelech had 700 wives. We know that a Melech can't have a lot of horses. We know that he had tremendous amount of horses, right? We also know that a Melech can't have a king can't have too much gold and silver. He's allowed to have obviously wealth. But at such levels, so that was in a way it was a tiny on Shlomo HaMelech. How do you do that? Now, what Shlomo HaMelech held that's a regular king. I'm a supernatural. I'm chachma kol. I'm in a way I'm like superhuman, and therefore he thought maybe it doesn't apply to him, but really, and it could be it doesn't apply to him. But since the Torah says the Maisi you can't do it, so it was a tiny on his level. Again, all this is on the level of Shlomo HaMelech. It was a tiny on him that, but the Baisa kol Shlomo is wrong. He didn't do averis, but again, he compared to Dovid HaMelech. The pasuk will say in a second. Compared to Dovid HaMelech, who was Hashem said, and he didn't think he just whatever Hashem said he did. Shlomo HaMelech, in a way, used his chachma, and in a way, it was a little bit of a time on Shlomo HaMelech. That's like the basic understanding, and that's what the pasuk says. We'll see in a minute. The pasuk Dalet says, "Vayhi le'ei ziktar Shlomo." When Shlomo was old, nashav hitu elavavai. The nashim they turned the heart achre elehim acherim. V'loy haya libay shalem. Im Hashem Lekav Kovav David Aviv. Compared to David. In other words, when Hashem told the Shlomo HaMelech that he's going to have the kingdom is going to be forever, he told him only if you follow like David. David was at the level that no questions asked. This is what it is, and that's a tribute to Madrega. Now, being that Shlomo HaMelech allowed in his house avodah zarah to take place, and he didn't stop them, it was as if he did it. So the pasuk to say in a minute that Shlomo HaMelech did avodah zarah, of course he didn't do avodah zarah. It means since it allowed it in his house, it was and his level was a tiny on Shlomo, and therefore it's like as if it was a tribute to him. Good. Okay. So now pasuk hey, vayelech Shlomo achar ashtaris, and Shlomo followed Ashtar, Zara, Elahei Tidainim, Elahei Milkoim, Shikot Almainim, and also the abominations of the Almainim, so Zara. Vayash Shlomo Rabbi Hashem, V'lo Milo achar Hashem Dovid. And Shlomo didn't follow like Dovid on that level. And now the pasuk says, okay, then pasuk Zayin v'oz yiv the Shlomo bama, and it means his wives. They built some sort of bama, lichmaish shikut mayav, bahar asher al pnei Yerushalayim, the Melech. They built that's fine, but Zara shikut pnei Haman. So they built some sort of bama for the Zara. Okay, v'chein asel chol nashav, anachriyos, maktiros, mizavchim alheim, and all the foreign wives that he had, they also burnt some sort of ketairis, and also they brought kabbanis on their bama. Again, just to understand, Shlomo didn't do this; it was his wives doing it. But he didn't make a macha. It's kilo he did it on his level. Pasuk Tes, Vayisav Hashem b'Shlomo. Hashem was very angry at Shlomo. Kinat l'vavay im l'kei Yisrael. V'nira of par hamayim, and Hashem was. Again, Hashem was upset, and because he turned away from Hashem, and that Hashem that appeared to him 2 times, it means to him in Givon, where Hashem appeared to Shlomo, and he told him, and what he's saying, Givon, V'tziva alav, al adav hazeh, levilti lechat, achilihim achirim, v'leishamar eis, kol she'etziva Hashem. Hashem told him in Givon, he said, make sure, well, this is about the second time. The first time he asked him, you have to choose one thing and choose chachma. But the second time, Hashem told him, he warned him, he said, follow, don't sway, at all, and like, and be on the level of Dovid. But now he said Hashem was upset because he wasn't on that level, and Hashem warned him in Givon. But yeah, Hashem was shloimeh. Yeah, Nasha hoyse zoyis imach. And since you did this, I'm going to take away the malchus from you and give it to Avdach your servant. Posting your base, and I'm not going to do it in your lifetime. For the sake of Dovid, in other words, I think it means that you shouldn't have the embarrassment that the malchus would take away from you. But the I would take it away. I would speak the split. I'll tear it away, and that would be in the hand of your children. Okay. Rak, however, as I'm not going to take away all the melucha. There'll be one shevet I'll leave to your children, to your child. So that means I'm going to leave one shevet. In other words, 2 shvatim. In other words, the shevet of Yehuda, which is his shevet, and then in addition, I'll leave shevet Binyamin. So 2 shvatim are going to remain with Yehuda, with Dovid HaMelech. And why for Dovid, and also Leman Yerushalayim. I didn't find the good shot what it means Leman Yerushalayim. Unless it means Yerushalayim that's in Binyamin, right? I don't know.
To keep it going good.
What's it mean, keep it going good?
No, it's Yerushalayim. If they're going to split it in Yerushalayim, you're going to have trouble. So I'm going to keep you in charge of Yerushalayim.
Keep the capital.
The capital whole.
Okay, so very good shot. Okay, so he's saying that the shot is that Man Yerushalayim, that the capital of Binyamin is Yerushalayim, and that's also what Yehuda is. Yerushalayim will split it to Binyamin and Yehuda. So to keep the capital whole, keep it in, okay, and therefore.
That's some two stuff it says.
Okay, and okay, very good, and because of that, we'll leave 2 and the 10 will be taken away as a punishment.
David says that the reason why it says Leman Yerushalayim is because Shlomo built the Beis HaMikdash, and he kept Yerushalayim in the family of the people who built it.
Oh, very good.
Saying good.
Okay, Pasuk Yedalet, V'Yakom Hashem Satan L'Shlomo. And now because it's chet. So again, all this was great time. Shlomo was everything was great. There was peace. But once there was chet, now there was trouble. And what was the trouble? There were 2 people who rose up against Shlomo HaMelech. And now the pasuk is going to tell you the 2 stories of people that rose up. And it's literally we have a shoftim. Like we have Chai all this peace and it's great. And all of a sudden, Avera, boom, boom, boom. Horrible times. And then the cycle. Shofar comes and they do tshuva. So it's like over here. There was peace. It was tranquility. It was great times in Klal Yisrael. All of a sudden, it wasn't exactly how Hashem wanted it, and that's it. Wow. What happens? David as Edom. It's just to give you a little background. So when David was in Edom, Balais Yoav al Tzartzava, and Yoav was the general.
You ready to down?
What?
You ready to down?
Yes. So the Yaakov. Okay, I'll read it again. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. The Yaakov Hashem Satan L'Shlomo. Hashem made rivalry come up against I got Shlomo. You're right. I skipped it. That's Hadad Admighty. So now then Hadad from Edom, Mizera HaMelech, who Edom. He was from the offspring of King Edom. What happened was in times of Dovid HaMelech we had that Dovid HaMelech went to war with Edom, and then he killed all the Zcharim, all the people there. And then Yoav, the general, he went ahead and buried all those people. And I think the passage says over there that Yoav got a shame tov because he went ahead and he went to Flimish then, and he buried all those people. So it's referred to that story. And the people Edom were people of Amalek. So now let's just read the passage. He be Yoav David when David went to war with Edom. And Yoav was the general, and the Kabe Yoav went to bury all the people that he killed from Edom. But Yach calls Zachem Edom because he had killed all the Zcharim of Edom, and Kishesh Chadashem Yashav Sham Yoav B'Chol Yisrael. For 6 months, Yoav and all the people they stayed there at the Herchus called Zcharim until they wiped them out. Basically, there was a war with Edom many years back on top of Dovid HaMelech, and Yoav they buried everyone. Anyways, in that war, by Yivrach Hadad, there was a person named Hadad, and he ran away. And Hadad ran away, and he had to go to Mitzrayim. And he took refuge in Mitzrayim, and now years later, the times of Shlomo now he wants to do the Kama, he wants to take revenge for what happened to his city. So we'll see it inside the Psukim, but that's just the idea. The idea is once he did Avera, all of a sudden now Hadad comes on the scene and he wants to take revenge against Shlomo.
Hadad is the same guy as Hadad.
Yes.
Hadad ben Bedad.
Yeah, I think the Aleph and the Hey is interchangeable because it keeps on switching. Yerovam Hadad. And Hadad, who anashav admainim, adimim, the people from Edom. They have the aviv itay lovim Mitzrayim, v'Hadad nazakin. And that time when this all happened, he was a little boy. V'yikuv Midyan v'yam Paran. He went to Paran. V'yikuv anashav mimam Paran. He went from Midyan where the war was, and he got people in Paran. And then he ended up ultimately going to Mitzrayim. V'yavi Mitzrayim, al Paray Melch Mitzrayim. V'yital bayis lechem amalai. And basically Paray took him in. He gave him a house. He gave him food. And he told him ve'eretz nazalach. And he said, "Listen, you can stay here. I'll give you a place to stay." And ultimately, he grew up in the house of Paray. Okay. Now the pastor is giving this story. V'yamsir Hadad came b'nei Paray ma'od, and Hadad became. He found a lot of favor in the Paray. And guess what? He married him off. And who did he marry? Achais Ishtay. So he married his wife's sister, Achais Tachpanei Agvira, the sister of Tachpanei of the queen. So he grows up in the house and marries the queen's sister, his wife's sister. Now, but Taylor Loi Achais Tachpanei as Genuvas Benai. And now they gave birth to a son. They gave birth to Nuvas, his son, but to Gemleu Tichpanes, and he weaned them off. So Genuvas was raised as Paray, and he was like one of the children of Paray. Okay, now it's just telling this to you to show that there was a war, and now we won the war, and now years later the children come up. And they rise against us. It's almost like what happened in the war of 67, right? In 1967, we went to war with Syria. We went to war with Egypt, and then what happened in 73? They come back to fight. So yeah, same idea. It's that's how it works. So it's the same concept. This concept is we won the war. We not only that, we had a cars of we buried all the people. Okay, we're really nice. And now the young generation comes up and they wage war back. But it didn't happen until there was chait. And that's the kind of the point. Now what happened? Hadad Shama Mitzrayim, and now Hadad, when he got older, he heard Kishacha Dovid that Dovid died, and Ki Mois Yoav, and he hears that Yoav was actually killed. That's a chilk b'loshen Shachav Omeis, right? He hears that Dovid dies, and he hears that Yoav is dead. I want to go back to my land. I want to go where? I want to leave, and I want to fight. Now, but Yerushalayim Pari says, "Ki atama chaser imi, v'hincha mevakish lechas ba'aratzcha." Why do you want to leave your land? Just let me go. Now, why didn't he tell him where he's going? Because don't forget, Pari is married to Shlomo is married to his daughter, so it's a little bit complicated. So he's not really telling where he's going. So that this is where kind of the story ends in this story. But the deal was he wanted to make a war against Shlomo. Okay, he wanted as revenge. That's the first person that spoke up against Shlomo. Again, until then, for many, many years, there was no problems, there was peace, and it was all good. Now is when it started. Pasuk Gimel, Vayakim Kim Lo Yisat Hashem made another person go up against Shlomo, as Rezon ben Al Yada, Rezon the son of Al Yada, Asher Barach Me'esa Adayezer Mel Tzayv Adonai. We had also a story. The story was the other was, I believe, was from the north, and I think it was in Syria, and he had a war with Dovid, and he lost the war, and Dovid killed him. But now his child, V'yikatz Olav Anoshim, he Sar Godad, B'haragas David Isam, V'yelchu Domestic, V'shuvu Ba, V'lichu Domestic. In other words, one second. So Rezon was the son of, again, one second. V'yakam Akim Satan as Rezon ben Al Yada, Shabarach Me'isad. So he was, when David won the war with Eliezer, this person Rezon, Rezon went and he ran away. And he made it kind of like his own little army, right? And he went in that army. He went to Damascus in Syria, and he lived there. And he made like a little thing. He lived and he ruled in Damascus. But he certainly Israel, and he was like a problem.
He took control of the area. He took control of the area, and now they're not happy about it.
Right, there was a vacuum because the king was killed. So he made his own little malchus. And he was always a problem. I guess Kol Yisrael means all the time. I guess now at the end of his life, because we know there was peace. It must have been. I guess now, the end of his life.
These stories are going backwards, and they were talking about when Dovid would die. I mean, it's like
yeah, but it can't tell me that all the life of Shlomo was a problem because we know there's peace in time. So I'm just saying it must be the end of his life now that the stories happen. It means Kol Yimei. I guess it means the end of the life of Shlomo. Okay, so these two people, Hadad and Rezon, these two people were a problem for Shlomo at the end of his life. Okay, that's just an interesting piece. Now, Pasuk Havav is the kind of like a new story. Yerovam ben Nevat, Afrasi. There was a person named Yerovam ben Nevat. He was from Ephraim, Mitzrayah, from Sereda. V'shem imay Tzerua Isha Almana. His mother's name was Tzerua, and she was Almana. Evet Shlomo, and he, in other words, Yerovam was the Evet of Shlomo. V'yarim Yad Shlomo, and he raised his hand against Shlomo. What does that mean? Raise his hand against Shlomo. So Rashi says he gave him public rebuke. What does that mean? So we know we had earlier that what happened was Shlomo married Bas Parai, and they had this area called the Malua. Malua was the house. Because what happened was Shlomo moved the Aron into he moved it out of here Dovid, and because when he moved it into the Beis Hamikdash, he also moved his wife's Parai's house into this area called the Malua. And what happened was, Dovid HaMelech made it very easy for people to be regular. He didn't make things in the way. But what happened was, Shlomo went and expanded Bas Parai's house, and if you just look at the picture we had, basically kind of got in the way. He made a very good expansion, and it kind of made it problematic for people to go beyond the regular a little bit. And Yerovam went ahead and gave Barabim, he gave big musar to Shlomo, and he said, "Look what you're doing." He says, "Aviv," he says, "Dovid HaMelech, well, he broke down the walls to be able to regulate you." It's like Rashi, "Amalai avicha part perutzas b'chayma." The kind of like little girl. Dovid HaMelech, he knocked down walls. He made it easy for people to go to the Beis Hamikdash. But you went ahead and you built for your maidservants. You go ahead and
Dovid prepared it.
You made a labor force for your, because you wanted the queen to have all types of maidservants. So you went ahead and you built this big house and you got in the way. So it's a taina. So the Gemara says in Sanhedrin that Rabbi Yochanan says that what made Yerovam rise up was the fact that he gave Musar. But what the Gemara says, what made him fail ultimately was they did Barabim. It's okay to give Musar sometimes, but you have to know how to give Musar. So the reason why you'll see Yerovam is going to end up taking over, and that's because he had the quality of leadership. He went ahead and he saw something wrong, he spoke up. But you have to know how to do it. And the reason why ultimately he failed is because he did Barabim. That's the Gemara in Sanhedrin, quoting Rabbi Yochanan. Anyways.
What was his muster?
He gave Musar. He says Dovid HaMelech goes ahead and knocked down walls, made easy access to Beis Hamikdash. You building for your mates, for your wife and her mates, or all different things, you go ahead closing up the area to go to the regel, and that's not okay. So he was right, but you have to know how to say it. It's all how you say it. Okay. Pasuk Chav Zayin. Okay. One second. Okay, so Yerovam comes on the scene. Like we said, he was from Ephraim. Okay, and we raised up his hand against the Melech. Pasuk Chav Zayin. Now, and this is the thing that he spoke up against the king. Shlomo Bana Meluka Shlomo and built the Melua, and what? Shlomo built the Melua Saga as Paris, and he closed up the breaks. Be'ir Dovid Aviv in the city in Dovid, he closed up different prutzas that Dovid Melech broke down. And again, like he said, he built it for his maidservants, and because of that, it was a time of Shlomo that he shouldn't have done that. But again, like we said, Yerovam is right, but he shouldn't know how to say it. Now, the Yerovam Gibber Chayil. Yerovam was a great Gibber, a great warrior. Yar Shlomo as Anar, and Shlomo when he was young, when Yerovam was young, Yar Shlomo as Anar, he saw he was very good at work, and he was very diligent, and very good worker. So Vayifked Isai L'Chol Sevel. So when Yerovam was young, Shlomo HaMelech appointed him to be in charge of all the taxes. So of Beis Yosef, of Menashe and Ephraim. So because Shlomo went and kind of built him up, that's why he had the guts to go and speak against him eventually. So the point that the pasuk is trying to say is that Shlomo HaMelech is the one who built him up.
He fostered that relationship.
Yes, exactly. Pasuk Haftas, he basically. So what happens? All of a sudden, Yerovam Yatsi Yerushalayim. Yerovam was going out of Yerushalayim, and Yimsa Isai Achia Shiloi Hanavi. Suddenly, the Navi Achia from Shiloi, right? The Navi he meets him on the road. So again, Yerovam meets Achia Shiloi on the road. Humetchase Salma Chadasha. And there's two ways to learn, but the simple way to learn is that the Navi was wearing a brand new garment. And they both they were on the road and in a field, and they're going. We could probably finish this in the next 5 minutes. It's pretty simple. And but this, 5 minutes. Now, but this was Achia Shama Chadasha, and Asher Love, and Achia took hold of his cloth, and he's wearing a Shnayim Asa Kuram, and he ripped it into 12 pieces. And Yomi Yerovam, he said, Kachas Asar Kuram. Achia Shloina, he takes his clothing, he takes off his thing, he rips it into 12 pieces, and he says, take the 10 pieces of yourself. I'm going to take away the melucha from Shlomo. I'm going to give it to you. You Yerovam, are going to rule over the 10 Shvatim.
10 of them was good.
Achia was a Navi.
So he was a real Navi.
He was a real Navi. Achia, he was a regular Navi, and he said he took off his clothing, he ripped it into 10 pieces. He did like Kriya. That's why he ripped it, and he wanted to show like it's the real thing, and he gave Yerovam all 10 pieces. And Hashem is going to give you over the Malchus. Shlomo is losing
10 Shvatim.
12 pieces.
He ripped it.
He gave him 10 of them.
I'm sorry, he ripped it 12 pieses, and he gave him 10 of them. And it was to show that 10 pieces are going to go to you, and the last 2 are going to stay. Fine. Hashem echad yeloi, and one will remain yeloi leman abdi. David the Yerushalayim, Ha'ir Shebecharti B'chol Shebtei Yisrael. Okay. Bayan Asher Zavuni.
One's going to stay and one's Levi, I guess.
No, 2. Because one is Yehuda, which is Dovid. That's going to stay, and Binyamin is going to come as well.
And 10 will give away.
Shevet Echad means
one has the rest of them.
right. Now Shevet Echad means in addition to you, Dovid, which is Shevet Yehuda, in addition to Shevet Binyamin. So Yehuda and Binyamin are going to stay, and the rest of the Shvatim are going to go to Yerovam. The Yan Asher Zvuni, and why is this happening? Because Asher Zvuni Shtachvel Ashtarais, okay, Elahei Atzi Dainin the Mechchosh, okay, Mayav Ahei Mayav, or the Malachim Elahei Bnei Amoin because they didn't follow it last day to Yoshev Einai Kosh B'Shpata Kedav. Again, they didn't follow it on the level of Dovid HaMelech. Now, I'm not going to take it all. And I'll make him that I'm not going to take it all away from him. I'm going to leave him a little bit because for the sake of Dovid. Okay. But I'm going to take it away. I'm going to hand it over to the Shvatim. It's just repeating. The man, Dovid, Avdi, in order to be I think it means a continuation of Dovid. I'm not going to wipe him out. Call Yom Yerushalayim. Lefanai Yerushalayim. Va'ir Hashem Chati Li Lasar Shmi Sham. Now, Va'ischa Ekach Malacha, and I'll take Va'ischa Ekach, and I'll take you, Malachta, and you'll be the new Melech. And you could wherever you want to be the Melech of. In other words, leave it up to you to how far your reign is going to be. You'll be the new king over Klal Yisrael. And Hashem's telling him, literally, it happens again and again. Hashem says, I'm telling you, I'll give it to you. However, you have to follow if you follow in that way, Lishmar, then I'll be with you. Base now, and I'll build for you base now. Benisa Dovid, Sati L'cha, it's Yisrael. Pasal Amates, what was done. Va'anda as Zera Dovid, L'man Zois Ach Loikol Yom, and I'm gonna again. So he's telling Yerovam, follow my ways, and you do everything right. It's all gonna be good, and just like Dovid. But now I'm gonna Va'anda as Dovid as Zera Dovid. I'm gonna afflict. Because of this, I'm gonna put pain. I'm gonna put afflict on the sense of David. The man zois, loy kol yom, but not for all the days. It seems like there is going to be a continuation of Bachal Pes David, but he's telling Yerovam that I'll give you some sort of like permanent role, because it can't be that he's taking over and become the new Melech. We know that David is going to end ultimately be. He's saying he gives some sort of role and maybe some sort of governorship over. But again, the deal is you have to follow in the ways of Hashem, and if not, it's not going to work. The Haman says, Yerovam, when this happened, when what happened? When he gave him public rebuke, when he gave him Musa Barabim, is referring to. So then he wanted to go ahead and kill Yerovam. So where did Yerovam go? He went El Shishak Melech Mitzrayim. The question is, who's Shishak Melech Mitzrayim? Most Mepharshim say it wasn't actually his shver. It was already maybe Shver's brother. He died already because he went there to run away, so he wouldn't host him if it's his own shver, right? And he stayed there ad Yom Shlomo until Shlomo died. He hung out in Mitzrayim because he was scared. Now the pasuk, the Perek ends off. But yes, if you want to hear more stories about Shlomo, it's written in a special sefer in the history book of the Chronicles, whatever you want. It's there. It talks about Shlomo. This Malachim is not talking about Shlomo. It's more telling you, it's more giving more information of what happened to Klal Yisrael. But that sefer was around for a long time, and now it's gone. I think I saw somewhere it was around even in times of Ezra. It's been around a long time, but today I don't think they have it anymore. Now, by Yomi Asher Malach Shlomo Yerushalayim, how long was Shlomo Melech over the Melech in Yerushalayim? Was 40 years. And Yishkav Shlomo ultimately passes away, and he goes. Yishkav he was put to sleep. He died, and he was buried. Dovid he's buried with his fathers, and Dovid Yimach Rechavam B'nai Tacham, and now his son Rechavam it becomes a new Melech over Klal Yisrael. So it's just like a lot happened in this chapter. So now all of a sudden, the reign of Shlomo ends, Rechavam starts, and tomorrow we'll continue in Perek Yud Beis. All right, all the best.
Thank you.